The silence on the bridge of the Varitha's cradle was the kind that precedes extinction. Commander Zareth Kale stood at the tactical display, his four-fingered hands trembling, not from fear, he told himself, but from the vibration of another impact rattling through the hull. Around him, the Vethari crew moved with disciplined precision, yet their bioluminescent skin patterns flickered pale silver, the unmistakable color of despair. The Drathagon fleet numbered 47 warships. The Vethari had 9. "Commander," said Lieutenant Uvara, her voice barely above a whisper, "they are signaling again. They want our unconditional surrender. They say if we lay down weapons, the colony on Sereth 4 will be processed rather than destroyed." Processed. A clinical word for slavery. For the harvesting of an entire civilization's knowledge and biology to fuel the Drathagon's expansion. Zareth stared at the dying star field beyond the viewport. 3 of his ships had already gone dark, engines gutted, crews evacuating into escape pods that the Drathagon warships picked off with casual, contemptuous precision. They weren't even using heavy weapons anymore. They were toying with them. "How long until the colony's evacuation is complete?" Zareth asked. 42 minutes, Commander." "And our shields?" "Failing. Perhaps 12 minutes before we are combat ineffective." He closed his eyes. 12 minutes. 30 minutes short of saving everyone. He had sent the distress call 14 hours ago, standard galactic emergency protocol, broadcast on every frequency, every channel, every quantum relay the Vethari possessed. He had called for help from the Galactic Coalition. From the Sorelli Combine. From anyone within range. The replies had come swiftly, one after another, each a polite variation of the same answer. Too far. Too dangerous. Insufficient tactical advantage to engage the Drathagon at this time. We express our deepest condolences. He had also sent a signal to the humans. That had been almost an afterthought, the humans were new to the coalition. Barely 2 centuries into deep space travel. Their fleet was small, their technology considered by most species to be primitive and brute force. The Drathagon themselves had laughed when informed that humanity had joined the galactic community. "Fragile things," the Drathagon High Admiral had reportedly said. "They will learn their place soon enough." Zareth had sent the signal anyway. And heard nothing back. "Commander." Uvara's voice cracked. "The Seretha's wing has lost main power. They are adrift. Another ship gone." Zareth straightened, pulling his uniform flat with quiet dignity. If they were going to fall, they would fall standing. "Helm, bring us between the Seretha's wing and the Drathagon line. We will shield them as long as we." "Commander." The sensor officer, young Tef, stood up so fast he knocked his chair backward. His skin had gone from silver to blazing gold, shocked disbelief. "Commander, I am reading quantum fold signatures. Multiple. Large mass objects. Bearing 774 Mark II, distance 11,000 kilometers and closing." Zareth spun. "Drathagon reinforcements?" "No, sir." Tef's voice was barely a sound. "The mass signatures, the energy profiles. I've never seen them before. The computer cannot identify the hull configurations." He looked up, gold brightening to something close to white. "They are enormous, sir." The quantum folds tore open like wounds in space. They did not open the way most ships folded, the graceful, calculated ripples of Sorelli drives, or the elegant spirals of Coalition standard propulsion. These tears were violent. Ragged. They split the darkness with blue-white fire, and through them came shapes that made Zaretha's tactical mind struggle to process what his eyes were sending. Warships. But not like any warship in known space. They were massive, brutal, angular, built with no thought for elegance and every thought for function. Their hulls were scorched black and deep gray, layered in thick ablative armor that looked like it had been grown onto the frames rather than designed. Point defense railguns bristled from every surface like thorns. Their engine ports glowed a deep, violent orange, the color of something barely contained. 17 of them. 17 human warships. This is Admiral Darian Voss of the Terran Fleet, commanding vessel TFNS Indomitable, said a voice across all open frequencies, calm, unhurried, with the quiet certainty of someone who has already decided how this ends. We received a distress call from Commander Zareth Kale of the Vethari Defense Fleet approximately 13 hours and 51 minutes ago. We apologize for the delay. Full drive calibration at range takes time. The Drathagon fleet had gone utterly still. Zareth watched on his display as the human ships completed their formation, not a defensive cluster, not a cautious spread. A wedge. An attack formation, already moving, already accelerating toward the Drathagon line. Admiral Voss. Zareth found his voice. Their fleet numbers 47 capital ships. You have 17. Yes. There was something in the human's tone that Zareth could not translate. Not arrogance. Something older. Quieter. Commander, I'm going to need you to get your people clear of the engagement zone. We're going to make things loud. On the Drathagon command frequency, which the humans had apparently already cracked and were broadcasting openly on, a different voice appeared. Harsh, clicking, imperious. Human vessels. You are outnumbered and outclassed. Withdraw immediately or you will be added to the Drathagon harvest. A pause. Then Admiral Voss again, and this time there was something underneath the calm. Something ancient and volcanic. Yeah. We're not going to do that. The TFNS Indomitable opened fire. The Vethari crew watched in stunned silence as human weapons technology announced itself to the galaxy for the first time at scale. Mass drivers the size of city blocks launched projectiles at a significant fraction of the speed of light, kinetic energy so staggering that the first Drathagon cruiser hit simply ceased to exist, its shields irrelevant, its armor irrelevant, physics rendering its entire defensive doctrine irrelevant in 0.3 seconds. But it was not just the mass drivers. The human ships moved. They danced, in ways that ships their size should not be able to dance, aggressive lateral burns, sudden vector reversals, coordinated maneuvers that made the Drathagon targeting systems chase ghosts. Every time a Drathagon weapon found a solution, the human ships had already moved. As though they had calculated every possible counter before the battle began. They practiced this, Yuvara breathed, staring at the display. They practiced dying, so they know how not to. She was right. Zareth had read the human military doctrine files once, briefly, and dismissed them as the product of a species too young to know better. Aggressive forward doctrine. Offensive first philosophy. Never wait for the enemy to dictate terms. He understood now what he had missed. Humanity had spent 10,000 years making war on themselves. While other species had developed weapons to defend territory, humans had developed weapons to take it. While other species built fleets to deter aggression, humans built fleets to end wars. The difference was not technological. It was philosophical, and it was bone deep. The Drathagon had never fought a species that wanted to fight back. Within 7 minutes, the Drathagon formation had fractured. 11 of their ships were destroyed or combat ineffective. The rest were attempting to scatter, but the human fleet had folded 3 ships ahead of their most likely retreat vectors before the battle even started. Zareth watched Admiral Voss manage the engagement on the shared tactical channel, his voice never rising, never breaking, issuing corrections and redirections with the quiet confidence of a man doing a job he had trained his entire life to do. Resolute, their damaged cruiser is drifting toward the colony's upper atmosphere, push them off that vector. Stalwart, you've got 3 fighters coming around your port flank, roll and use your aft batteries. Cerberus, well done on that intercept, now get back in formation, you're not done yet. 22 minutes after the human fleet arrived, the battle was over. The Drapagon survivors were in full rout. The colony on Sereth 4 was intact. The Vethari fleet, 6 ships remaining, floated in sudden, perfect silence. Admiral Voss's voice came across one final time. Commander Kale. Are your people all right? Zareth Kale, commander of the Vethari Defense Fleet, a being who had served 40 years and never once broken composure in front of his crew, had to pause before answering. Admiral, he said at last. We had been told no aid was coming. A brief silence from the other end. Yeah, said Darian Voss. We heard. The Drathagon did not engage Vethari space again. Across the coalition, in quiet chambers and in the careful language of diplomatic reports, a new sentence appeared in the tactical assessments of a dozen species. Do not be in the same location as whatever the humans are angry at. It was the most useful piece of intelligence anyone had written in a century.